Within a train ride.
Within a 30-minute train ride, you could end up in another world.
Yeah.
And then as a hip hop artist, you bring that with you as you express your creativity in the form of dance or DJing or rapping or graffiti.
Do all the trains go through the entire city, or like some of them just go through Queens?
I live in a central part of Queens between Roosevelt, 69th Street, where USA Roller Skating Rink was located, the epicenter for us of hip hop, and where I lived, 89th Street, Roosevelt Avenue. In between that, you had 74th Street. And 74th Street is like what Grand Central Station is to Manhattan. 74th Street, Roosevelt Avenue was to us. What I mean by that is you had every train, the F train, the E train, the 7 train stopped there, the G train, and from there you could go anywhere.
I was trying to get an idea of, like, if you tagged up a train in Queens, would people in like other boroughs see it and you get your name out that way?
I was a graffiti writer at 11, 12 years old, and I would, for the most part, tag up the 7 train, and the 7 train ran from Flushing, still does, all the way to Times Square, Manhattan. So I'm not trying to give off this impression that I was all city or anything like that. I was 11 years old, but I was a tagger, and all of Jackson Heights had my name, Rob Ski. Yeah.
How'd you get your nickname, Rob Swift?
Rob Swift, my brother's friend, high school friend named Jay Vaughn, who rapped, and he would come over our house and make tapes with my brother. And by then, my brother taught me how to DJ. My dad found out we were turning this equipment on. I was
wondering about that, yeah.
You know? And my dad was like, you know what? I'd rather these kids inside toying around with my gear than outside getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Because my brother was...
New York was rough back then.
My brother was like really into the music, but he was also into the street life as a kid. He had a toe in the streets. Yeah, he had a toe in the streets too, and was doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
So
I had a cousin like that, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm sure you could identify
Absolutely.
then. So I think my dad realized I'd rather my children indoors playing with my turntables than outdoors getting into trouble. And there's me, who's impressionable, and basically wherever my brother went, I was there. And I know that my dad was like, I don't want Rob following in John's footsteps.
Yeah.
Well, hip-hop is a competitive art. It's a sport in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that attracted me about it was the idea that iron sharpens iron. So as a breaker, I would go over to USA, 69th Street, Roosevelt Avenue, where they shot the famous scene between Rocksteady Crew and Dynamic Breakers in that movie I was telling you guys,
Style Wars.
And I wanted to experience that competition. So I would go over there with my buddies, Little Ram, Joe Ski, a.k.a. Nay, White Boy Billy, David.
White Boy Billy's my favorite.
Yeah,
so.
White Boy Billy. White Boy Billy had the illest windmills, man.
Yeah.
His windmills
Somehow
were crazy.
I knew.
And you know, we would battle kids, right? So
White Boy Windmill.
word. So I think the competitive nature of hip hop was ingrained in me from my breaking days.
Can you turn that off? Can you turn the competitive nature off?
No, I don't.
Because this guy can't.
Yeah, I don't think. I think, like, for example, when I go to DJ battles now, there's always a part of me that's like, I want to get on that stage too.
Mm-hmm.
Your responsibilities change over time, though, and then you kind of realize, like, well, it takes like a year to really train and battle. Within that year, I have a mortgage to pay, or a car note to pay, or I got to put food on the table. I can't channel my energy into practicing for a battle.
For months.
Right.
I feel like as a breaker, I developed that competitive nature. And so when I discovered battles, sanctioned battles like the DMC, the New Music Seminar Battle for Supremacy in the early
90s.
to late 80s.
80s, okay.
right, these competitions were taking place.
Yes,
and
sir.
by the time I discovered them, which was in like 1988, I was like, oh, wow, there are competitions that you could enter as a DJ. By then, I was more established as a DJ in the neighborhood.